almost like Western, and it isn't there. And um, I was very, very disappointed in that. Prangerade mentioned X-Men the First Class, and this was a good one for me. Many of you echoed these sentiments. I thought X-Men the First Class was very good. I saw it in the theater, and for the first time in a long time, I felt myself really drawn into an X-Men movie in a way that I had not seen previously. So, maybe since the first one came out. So, hooray for reviving a franchise that most people probably would have left for dead. Um, Wolverine Origins almost seemed like not an X-Men movie to be honest, so on and so forth. But the First Class was very impressive, and I really, really did enjoy it. So couldn't agree more about that, Prangerade. The characters were engaging. They did great work in breathing new life, not just into the franchise, but into the characters. Um, the people that they cast in the movie were just spot on. It was so much the opposite of, that's ironic because I mean X-Men really helps to launch, along with Spider-Man, launches the existence of the superhero movie and how we need to the resurgence of the superhero movie, and yet the resurgent, the kind of renewal of X-Men is a much much better movie than Captain America in my mind. And so X-Men: The First Class is definitely worth your time if you haven't seen it. It's a fantastic movie. Nomog mentioned Midnight in Paris. Now, I haven't seen this movie, but I've heard a lot about it, and I have to say that the concept doesn't really excite me. I think if I saw it sitting around on my Netflix queue, I doubt I'd probably jump in and pick that as a first choice. So maybe my experience is a little bit limited on it, but in any case, Midnight in Paris. I'm definitely open to seeing it. I like the idea of you know, uh, of a movie by Woody Allen, right? That is kind of where you can take a lot of liberties, and there's not going to be a kind of stock formula for the movie because it's just not going to conform to any of those norms with Woody Allen directing, and um, I'm intrigued by that. I think that's really cool. So I've heard that being mentioned as well as some of the best movies of the year, along with some others I'm not sure got a lot of mention, which were War Horse. War Horse was a movie that absolutely warrants attention for the spectacle that it is. And I'm not sure necessarily that I would like that movie. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I've heard it's a great movie, but I've also heard it's kind of sad, a little depressing. Another one that people mention, I think, is worthy of mention here is Rango. I really enjoyed that movie. Really takes the divide between adult movie and kids movie and really straddles the line in a very healthy way. The way that I think good kids movies should. And this brings another thing up because one of the movies that got mentioned was The Muppets. I'm not going to say The Muppets wasn't a good movie, but as a hardcore Muppets fan, the new Muppets was very, very disappointing. And the reason why I think is because I understand the purpose. It completely revamps the Muppets franchise for another 20 years. I agree. And I think that's great. But at the same time, I think it also does a lot of really stupid stuff. Like, it, it doesn't really get that same line of straddling between adult humor and kids humor in any way that works. It's cute, it's fun. I sing along, I get it. I love the message. I love that it's a musical. I love that people had the love for the franchise to do this. Don't get me wrong. Please don't read me the wrong way with that. I love this franchise. I love the Muppets, and I hope they make Muppets movies forever. This one did not live up to snuff. And I have every Muppet movie ever made on DVD besides maybe the Muppet Christmas Carol, although I do have the Muppet Christmas movie. In any case, um, the Muppets, for my money, isn't even as good as Muppets from Space. And Muppets from Space was, I thought, a hysterically funny movie, and was probably, and that was the last one. And I think that came out in '99 or 2000. So it had been a long time since a Muppet movie had been made, and it was probably overdue. This one is a good one, but I don't think I'd put it on the top 10 best movies of the last year. And I certainly wouldn't put it on my list as one of the best. So now the arduous task comes to me of picking my own or putting in my own input here. Um, you know, I saw a movie the other day, and I don't think it fits within what we talked about, but True Grit, which I know came out last year, and isn't going to be worthy of consideration this year. But I saw that, and I thought that was really, really good. Um, and so I finally saw that one. Got on it, got off my keister and saw the movie, and I thought it was really, really good. So anyway, that's just out there. That was just floating in my head. Um, I would go with, for my favorite, the experience that I probably had the best with in the movies this year was Drive. It really was a pleasant surprise to see. And I'll be honest with you, it comes out in only a few days, but I've already pre-ordered it because I can't wait to watch it. I think it's just a great movie, a wonderful art piece, really innovative in terms of taking all the different pieces from all of these different, like a 50s serial, an 80s movie, and present day Los Angeles with a kind of heist kind of feel, all rolled up into one. And I thought that was really, really well done. So I'm going to go with Drive as my favorite movie of the last year. And I think if any of you haven't seen it, you should totally go see it because it's definitely worth your time. All right. Now, lest we dilly-dally, let's talk about the question for next week. All right, I'll just go out with it and try to say this as delicately as possible. Last week, your old pal, the Commodore, had a little bout with food poisoning. Now, luckily, we got all that kind of cleared up, at least to a certain extent, before we did the live echo screen. But it's safe to say I was not at the top of my game that night, and I'm just kind of getting back to normal right now. If you've never had food poisoning, trust me, it sucks. If you have had food poisoning, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In any case, I have to tell you, I'm back on the wagon this week. It's great to be eating real food again. And, I just started thinking, I never ask anybody about kind of geek foods. And I thought, what a great topic for the Weekly Ringer. So this week I want to ask you guys a question about food. And it goes a little something like this. What is your favorite geek food? Right? And it could be, here's how I want you to think about it. Picture yourself at a LAN party or at, a late night D&D session or whatever the case might be. What do you want to get for snacks or for food that you pop out that you got to have to get you through the night with one of those late night LAN parties or late night D&D sessions? That's how I want you to think of it. Pull out your favorite geek food for that. That's where it's at. And we'll enjoy going back to eating geek food this week because I no longer have food poisoning. Anyway, thanks so much for all of your comments this week. By the way, many of you, I actually had a couple of emails this week where many of you came to me and said, hey, I have a suggestion, not just for the podcast, the Echo Screen Live, which has been now officially relaunched, even though we're still working on a theme. It's important to get these things relaunched. It is important for us. And we just thought it would flip a magical switch on January 1. It turns out there's a lot more work involved. But in any case, the Echo Screen is relaunched. The Weekly Ringer is going to relaunch. One of the things I'm really open to is suggestions. If you have suggestions of things you'd like us to talk about on the Echo Screen Live or on the Weekly Ringer, which are basically the two things that I head up here at Clan of the Grey Wolf, please don't hesitate to send me an email at commodore128@clanofthegreywolf.com or send me a private message via the website. You can do that at any time if you're a registered member on the website. So, but I appreciate all the input, and several of the topics that people ask me to talk about are going to be questions on Weekly Ringers. I can just tell you they're going to be questions for us in the future. So thank you for the suggestions. Keep them coming. Any of you want to see something out there, don't post it in the comments. Just send it to me. That way I can have a record of it and I can add it to the hopper, as it were, for all of the yet to be asked Weekly Ringer questions. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed my little soiree into the small room today. But in any case, hopefully everything will be back to normal next week. I can shoot this video through my normal means. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for commenting. Thank you all for being a part of the Weekly Ringer series. It's been so fun so far, and I'm really glad to keep going with this. And the questions just keep getting better, and the comments just keep getting better. So I'm really, really excited about it. So thanks to all of you for watching the Weekly Ringer with me, the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf. And there is no reset button.